Hey you guys, it's Peter, and I'm back. Of course I'm back, I'm not going anywhere. Boost! I'm YouTube famous now. Available in 2018, the album, Dad AF. Rock on, gorgeous woman. All right, let's get right into this video. Are you guys so excited for Christmas? It's like 3 days away from Christmas, right? And you're probably off school, you're probably off work, just hanging around the house, looking for the next big Netflix show to watch. And if you're looking for the next big Netflix show to watch, I would like to recommend to you, not sponsored, but we're going to talk about that in just a second, the Bob Ross show on Netflix, Beauty is Everywhere, which is his half-an-hour segments. Now, if you do not know who Bob Ross is, okay, Bob Ross was a painter from back in the day. I think he was around like the early 80s, like, I don't know, maybe like 83, 84 to like 93, 94, something like that. He was on for like 10 years. And I remember him, okay, from back in the day, and he was on PBS. And so back in the day, Bob Ross was kind of like, I don't really know how to say this, but he was kind of like the Richard Simmons of the art community, so to speak. And if you don't know who Richard Simmons is, go Google him. And what I mean by that is that like back in the day, and that was when I was in high school, okay? We all kind of like laughed at Bob Ross. Like Bob Ross was not somebody that was taken seriously. I think people appreciated his art, but you know, like you would go into places and like Spencer's Gifts, and they would have like posters, and it would be like Bob Ross, you know, editions and things like that. And it was kind of funny. Like it was just, you know, it's like the pet rock, okay? Like back in the day, and then people want to turn it around and make it real serious. It was kind of like that, right? So imagine my surprise when all of a sudden on the YouTubes, I start seeing that all these people are doing, I tried a Bob Ross painting whatever tutorial on my face. And I'm like, this is very, very interesting to me. And the reason that it's interesting to me, okay, is that the people that are doing it are very young. And I know that a lot of people are recommending this. And I think it kind of got a little viral maybe a couple months ago, like in September, because Jenna Marbles did a video where she followed a Bob Ross tutorial. And if you've never seen his movies before, or his Betamaxes, his VCR tapes, if you've never seen his TV show before, it's a half an hour, and he literally takes you from a blank canvas to a huge, like to a total picture at the end of it, right? So then I start seeing that all of these people are doing it. So it was very, very interesting to me. And the first person that I actually saw that posted it was like 2 or 3 days ago. And it was nikkietutorials, and she did a video called, I tried a Bob Ross tutorial on my face. And then she posted a picture on Instagram. Here, I'll show the picture on Instagram right there. And then yesterday, James Charles came out. Here, I'll post his picture right there. And he came out with a video. And his video was called, I tried a Bob Ross tutorial on my face, okay? And it's very interesting to me that these came out within 2 days of each other on the heels of this Netflix show, okay, out there. You know, it's always interesting to me when you see all this kind of stuff collide, and it's like, well, was this promoted and nobody's saying anything? Was it not promoted and whatever? And so there's a lot of drama surrounding this, okay? The first piece of drama is that supposedly James Charles copied nikkietutorials, and I'm going to address that in just a second because James came out with a statement about that. And a lot of people had things to say about it on the Instagram, as well as the Twitter and places like that. The second piece of drama to this, okay, for me, is that Nikkie said in her video she didn't know who did the original video or where the original concept came up, but she was going to try to find out where it was, and she linked in her video underneath it Jenna Marbles' video, okay? Well, that's smart, right? Because Jenna put hers out in September of this year. Jenna Marbles is a huge YouTuber, so nikkietutorials and Jenna Marbles, if you like look at that linkage back and forth between the videos, Nikkie's gonna get a lot more viewership off of Jenna Marbles than if just some, you know, person out there randomly came up with this video idea, which they did, because it's very interesting to me what happened. So let's go back for a second, okay? So Nikkie posted this picture on Instagram like I showed you, and then James posted his picture on Instagram. And I go underneath here and I start reading the comments, right? And there's a lot of like, you know, the big influencers that make comments underneath here. Nikita Dragon said when he says he likes art, because at the beginning of James' video, he goes in and he talks about how he was really influenced to become a beauty influencer because of his love of art, which he's talked a lot about, and yes, that is true. One of the things that was really surprising to me in James's video was that he went on and on and on about Bob Ross and, you know, like what a great artist Bob Ross is and all this kind of stuff. And I'm not taking anything away from Bob Ross. I'm just not, okay? I'm just saying this one thing, right? And this is where it's interesting to me that it's the kids that are doing these videos. Because if you grew up in my generation, I'm just going to tell you, Bob Ross was not like revered for being the greatest artist in the world. He just wasn't, okay? I mean, he almost was kind of like a funny joke. I'm being completely honest here. If you grew up when I did, okay? Nobody was hanging no Bob Ross paintings in their house. It just wasn't happening, okay? Do people watch the show? Yes, okay? I remember my grandma watching it back in the day. You know, I mean, listen, okay? People watch these shows, but like my friends and I mean, it was all very comical. I mean, we would say things like about a painting, like, that looks like a Bob Ross painting. Like, we would make jokes about it, okay? And if you grew up in my era, you know that's true. So the fact that, you know, like what? God, I graduated. I'm almost my 30-year high school reunion. I was talking about that in my vlog last night. You know, the fact that almost 30 years later, okay, that beauty influencers that weren't even anywhere around, their parents probably weren't even together at that time and all this kind of stuff. Their parents, hell, were probably in high school with me, okay? You know, back then, I mean, like, that 30 years later, these young beauty influencers would then be doing these tutorials, full face of Bob Ross. Like, it's very cool, isn't it? I mean, it's kind of full circle. And, you know, but at the same time, it's funny that they're kind of taking it seriously a little bit. I don't know. So anyway, and I think the looks are absolutely amazing. I don't know where they're going to wear these looks. I don't know, to a dinner party. I mean, that would be real fun, wouldn't it, to sit across from a Bob Ross painting. But anyway, it kind of reminds me of like years ago, I saw these like kids' costumes and somebody did like a Van Gogh painting on their kid's face. It was very much like that. So that was interesting to me. And I was kind of like, does James Charles really even know who Bob Ross is? Like, does he really even like... I don't know, and it would be kind of like this. Like if you're sitting around a dinner party and like, you know, or I don't know, like Christmas, if you're with your kids for Christmas and, you know, somebody's like, oh my God, I've been watching this Bob Ross show on Netflix and blah, 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 whatever, and you kind of like snicker and you're like, Bob Ross? Like, I mean, that's kind of how it is, right? So anyway, I go underneath here and I read these comments, and Tana Mojo said, you are by far the most creative person on this platform, LMAO, wow. And then she says, go off. And then his friend Anthony said, wow, not only good, but also fresh. And then all these people said a bunch of stuff, right? But if you go down here, it's interesting because about 10 comments down, somebody says, you, 2019, Michelangelo. That's where the joke is, right? Like, that Bob Ross is compared to, I mean, that's where the joke is. I don't know. So it's like so funny when I'm watching this because I'm like, okay. So anyway, but if you go down here, all these people are like commending him on this wonderful look, right? And then right out of nowhere, somebody says, he copied Nikkie, OMG. And then 2 comments down from that, somebody said, not going to tag nikkietutorials for the inspiration. And people keep on saying all this kind of stuff. And then if you go down here, it says, okay, wait, there's more. I mean, it's just, were you inspired by Sister Nikkie? And all this kind of stuff. And then somebody says to James Charles, hey, James Charles, this is inspired by, and they say, this other person, this other beauty influencer, she deserves a shout out then. Which I went and looked, and this beauty influencer did the picture on Instagram a week ago, okay? And this is where it's interesting. It's like, how do you credit people for this or for that on the internet? So I went in, and listen, you guys, you know, when Nikkie said in her video that she was going to try to find out where the original tag was, it's very difficult to do that. You know, it really, really is, you know, to come up with an accurate depiction of who the original creator of this was. You know, and maybe somebody didn't tag it out there. I don't know, but it's very, very difficult. So if you don't know how to do it, I'll tell you what you do. You put in your search engine on YouTube. I tried following a Bob Ross tutorial on my face, and then you put the upload date and you go to the very first video that shows up, and that more than likely is probably the original idea, okay? Now, Nikkie, I know that's difficult, girl, for you to figure out. I'm just saying, okay? I know it's difficult, okay? But I'm just saying that's all you have to do, okay? It's just not real difficult. And I went in there and I did that. And when I did it, I came up with somebody named Seahorse Trash. And she posted the video. Here, I'll throw up her look right here, okay? She posted this video 8 months ago, okay? Long before Jenna Marbles did the Bob Ross tutorial, which was then on Netflix. Long before Nikkie and James came out with this most genius idea that everybody in the world is asking them to do, okay? This person, this Seahorse Trash, she did it 8 months ago. And it's interesting when you watch the video at the beginning of it because she says in there, she said something to the effect of, blah, 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 blah. She says that all these people are doing these videos, and she references at that time that people were doing, like, I tried a Nikkie tutorials video, or I tried a James Charles video, or tutorial. She talks about all that. She goes, well, I'm going to follow a Bob Ross tutorial. She goes, but I'm going to do it on my face because that's all I've got. And I thought, okay, this is interesting because this is actually an original concept. So unless somebody did it before her and just didn't tag it or title it the same way, Seahorse Trash was the first person to do it. Why is that so hard to find the original person that did it? Now, what's interesting to me about this, okay, when you talk about James Charles is that James Charles usually does tag the person that inspires him for it. For example, he posted a video the other day, or he posted a look on Instagram the other day. This is the look right here. Okay, and then underneath it, he puts eyes, he puts all like what, lashes, like he always says, but then he puts inspiration. And the inspiration is this Lauren Bettles, and he, linked her and showed her picture and all that kind of stuff. So, or he didn't show her picture, but I went to it and the picture's on there. She had done it like a week before he had. So he usually does do that. So then it makes you wonder, okay, why did Nikkie and James specifically this time, 2 days apart doing the video, when they both kind of acknowledged that they both knew that they were going to do the video? James also said that he was going to do his video first, which we'll talk about in a second. But why didn't they quote who their inspiration was from this, okay? And I'm just, here, let's just pull this right out of my ass and throw it in the world. Unless it was actually a promoted, sponsored video that they just don't say anything about from this Netflix show. It just makes you wonder, right? Like, is it not interesting that 2 days apart, when that's out of the blue, they decide they're going to do this video? I mean, unless they're, like, on the phone and James is like, so, Nikkie, what are you doing? And I don't believe this, okay? I'm just going to say, so, Nikkie, what are you doing? Well, I was thinking about doing I followed a Bob Ross tutorial on my face. Who? Bob Ross. Who? Right. Like, come on, okay? So, it's not like they're sitting around watching these Bob Ross Netflix. They're boring. They're boring, okay? I don't even know how it made up over Netflix. I'm still over half the shows they take off of there, and then they put the stupid shit up there, and I don't know why it's there. So anyway, but like Bob Ross is, like, there's like, if you go into like Urban Outfitters, they've got t-shirts with Bob Ross painting and stuff like that, okay? It's funny, ha-ha kind of thing, right? So it's interesting then that neither one of them quote the original person or whatever, and they just talk about it on there. So that was interesting to me. But then when you go into the Twitter and you look, because James was getting a lot of shit, like I said, and if you go to the comment section, woo! Yes. Yes, ma'am. Okay. I did a review video on my review channel today. It is the Starbucks Peppermint Mocha versus the gas station edition. I don't know who came up with the original from that. I just thought it'd be a fun idea. So if you came up with it originally, tiny claps. Good for you, okay? Anyway, I always try to credit people, give credit where credit's due if they see it. But anyway, so what was interesting to me was that James was getting a lot of shit for this on Twitter, okay? And, there's always this thing that goes on within the beauty influencer community, where, oh, somebody stole this idea, and somebody stole that idea, and somebody stole this idea. Listen, there are not that many original ideas. I remember back in the day when I was in college, and I was reading Romeo and Juliet. Oh, my God, what a bore. What a bore ass, wasn't it? Give me a good Jackie Collins anyway. No. But anyway, I remember reading that. And in my class, my professor said something that I have never forgotten to this day. She said, Romeo and Juliet was the last original idea. After that, everything is basically a recreation. And I thought, that is really interesting, And when you look at a lot of romances today, or when you look at a lot of different, like, movie types or book types or whatever, okay, they all kind of go back to that classic idea, right? Family rivalry, the love that couldn't happen. There's a lot, but there aren't really tons and tons of new creative ideas anymore, okay? So it isn't really like reinventing the wheel. It's kind of like redecorating the wheel, so to speak, right? So, I don't hate them for it, and I don't even think that they necessarily have to credit it. But don't sit in a video, Nikki, and say you don't know who did the original, when it literally took me 10 seconds to find out where the very first person that ever did this on YouTube did, if they tagged it and titled it appropriately. If there's somebody else that did it before her, I don't know, okay? That's all I'm saying. It's just like, I don't understand that, right? Unless there's another reason why they just, poof, came up with this concept. Now, Nikkie did show the statistics, which I thought was very interesting, okay? Why she showed this, I don't understand. But she showed on her video that this was the second most requested video that she had gotten. She did like a poll, and the first one was The Grinch, and the second one, she would have actually made a good, that movie back in the day, did you see her Grinch tutorial? It was actually really good. And the thing about this is I love James and I love Nikkie both. Like, they're both people that I like to follow, and I love to watch their videos. So that's why it's kind of like all of this is kind of like I don't know, there's like some sketchiness on behind the scenes that I don't really understand about all this, that they just kind of come up with this concept. I mean, it's crazy. It's like, I don't know. It's like, I mean, if you just pull ideas out of the blue, like, why this? Like, and why not the Silent Hill tutorial, you know, or what, the haunting of, what was that show called? The Haunting of Silent Hill or whatever. Why not that tutorial? Or why not making the murderer tutorial? You know what I mean? Like, there has been, like, much more, why not the confession tapes tutorials, okay? Brendan Dassey for Making a Murderer, you think he don't want a tutorial? I mean, listen, okay, there's all kinds of Netflix shows we could have done tutorials over. Why Bob Ross painting? Except for that it kind of aligns with the makeup, and I do get all of that kind of stuff. But there's a lot of other artists out there. I mean, next are we going to see Jackson Pollock tutorials, and they're just going to be throwing makeup at each other's faces and stuff like that. I actually think that would be a good challenge. That's what they should do. Okay, somebody out there, you can steal my idea. You don't have to credit me with it. I don't really give a shit, okay? Just have two gurus standing across from each other and just chuck the shit out of some paint at each other and call it the Jackson Pollock Challenge. Does it already exist? Anyway, I could do this all day long, okay? I mean, the Andy Warhol tutorial on my face, we could do it on and on and on. It's just not that deep, right? But it's so interesting to me that there's a Bob Ross Netflix show, and it coincides with these Bob Ross tutorials on my face coming out, of which now we're gonna have to see 10,000 of them, okay? So anyway, so James Charles goes in on the Twitter, and he, after like he had tweeted out the video that he did, he addressed all this, and he said, for the record, I filmed this first. Here, I'll put it up right here. I filmed this first. Nikki happened to get hers up first, and neither one of us were the creator of this trend. Nikki and I are good friends, and there is no competition. We both killed the challenge, in my opinion. And then he said, because I'm getting, somebody asked him why, and he said, because I'm getting attacked and accused of stealing her idea, so I wanted to make it clear that it was a coincidence. Okay. No, you didn't steal her idea. It wasn't her idea to begin with. It just wasn't, okay? I'll tell you whose idea it was to begin with. Seahorse trash. And ain't nobody talking about no Seahorse trash up in this thing, right? Oh my God, okay? It takes 2 seconds. So if people are gonna really get all up in arms about James stealing from Nikki or Nikki stealing from James, I think the one that should be pissed is Seahorse trash. I'm just saying, okay? If, like I said, she was the first person, ooh, it's just too much. Who'd care? Who'd care, okay? James did a fantastic job on this. So did Nikkie Tutorials. They were both interesting looks. I don't know where the hell they're going to wear them, okay, to the Met Gala. I think they're gorgeous, but I mean, as a Bob Ross painting on your face, who'd want one? Not me, okay? I mean, it kind of reminds me a little bit of when you go to the fair, you know, and your kid wants to get face painted. That's what it kind of reminds me of a little bit. But I thought they were fun challenges. And around the holiday time to do fun challenges, I did love Nikkie's Nikkie Tutorials tutorial of the Grinch. I thought that was really well done. So anyway, I don't know. What do you guys think about all this? Let me know in the comment section below. It's just, who'd care, right? Who'd care all day long? I hope you guys are having a fantastic weekend. I love you, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.